Chris? I think you may all have got a little notification there. We are recording this. So what was I going to say? Oh, yes. I would like to introduce Chris, who is from Co-Create, which is an enterprise who help people to start co-production work. We've collaborated with those guys, on various projects since back in 2018. So I would say we're good friends and we work well together. And so it's a great pleasure to hand over to Chris as our host for today. Over to you, Chris.
Thanks, Nicola. Thanks, everyone. Incredible to see so many people here. And really appreciate just the invite to do this. It's lovely. And as Nicola said, we've worked together for quite a while now, and seeing the way that the values that Nicola holds and that the centre hold and the way they've worked together as a team up till now is just amazing. So it's exciting to see what the future is going to look like, which we will find out shortly. So first of all, just a big thanks to the launch team, which is Nicola, Lizzie, Mark, Mandy, Al and Catherine. They're the core. You can probably see them waving now. They'll be popping up at various points today. Their work has really meant I can just kind of swan in and do nothing and just ramble, which is what I like to do. The only difficulty is stopping me, so I've got a tight eye on time. We've got a lot to get through today, and we've tried to keep it as a mixture of there'll be opportunities to listen, there'll be some videos, some pre-recorded stuff, there'll be some live conversations, there'll also be opportunities to talk to each other a bit. Those of us who kind of value co-production, we believe that things happen when you leave the space open for people to communicate with each other openly. So we've got a little bit of space for that to happen here as well. So just a big welcome to everyone, co-producers, newbies, friends. We are obviously working remotely here. This is something that we in Co-Create have been learning over the last 6 months. And the biggest thing that we've learned really is that when we can bring more of our human lives into our meetings like this, then generally something unexpected happens. And quite often it's not what you would want. So just brace yourselves. I'm sure something will go wrong at some point. But that's sort of core to the principles of co-production as well, that you kind of have to enter into the messiness before you get to what's happening at the other side. So yeah, so just to acknowledge, don't worry too much if something goes wrong for you technically, or a dog comes in, or any number of unanticipated events. So, we're all here, we're all sort of learning together. Right, I'm going to talk a little bit about some housekeeping and accessibility stuff and some tech things. Should hopefully be quite straightforward. We've tried to keep things as simple as possible, and we're all here to kind of hold you through the process. So if you get stuck with anything, please just drop a message in the chat. And Leah, who's looking after the tech side of things, thank you very much, Leah, or one of the other team members will be able to jump in and help you, hopefully. Got a note to say there's no fire drills planned. I feel like the equivalent is probably no software updates. But if you do kind of drop out at any point, or you've got any difficulties, just go back to the original link in the invite. We'll let you back in. There shouldn't be a problem there. So a note about technical things. One thing is we're going to be using a piece of software called Otter AI. This is a live transcription tool. If you want to use it for any reason, I believe there will be a link about to be shared in the chat. So if you want to break from the sound, or if you're hearing impaired, then this will do some live transcription, subtitles effectively of what people are saying. So I'm now suddenly become conscious of the fact I need to talk a lot more clearly. And just a reminder to everyone, try not to cover your mouth when you're talking, to help those who are lip reading. You're welcome to have your cameras on, have them off, whatever feels most comfortable to you. But I think, as we've already heard, the session is being recorded, it's going to be videoed, photos will be taken. So a couple of things you might want to do: turn your video off if you're not comfortable. You can change your name on Zoom if you'd like to be more anonymous. And also you could drop a note into the chat. We're going to be saving the chat afterwards. So if you put something in the chat saying don't use my image, then we'll obviously honour that. We'll look through it afterwards and make sure you're not in any pictures when we share them. One of the things, again, a core kind of principle of co-production is recognising that everyone brings their own world when they come to things, and we need to recognise that and allow people to participate in a way that works for them. So let's try and just be really patient with each other, recognise some people might just be on a phone, some people might be visually impaired. There's lots of reasons why people might not be able to interact in the way that we assume to be normal. So as I said before, any tech issues or anything you're concerned about, drop a message in the chat and someone from the team we'll dive in and hopefully be able to help you. So, agenda. So here's what we're going to be going through today. The first thing we're going to talk about is a little bit of background, I guess, on where the centre came from, what's happened to date, and the story that's brought us here today, all 3 years. And then the big reveal. There's a new name, there's a new identity, and this is all about the future of the session, what's going to be happening from now on, the future of the centre. Next, we're going to hear about CoPro stories. This is going to be an opportunity to talk in smaller groups, in breakout rooms, if you're comfortable talking and you're happy to do that. And at about 3 o'clock, we're going to take a break. So everyone gets a comfort break away from the screen. Just to say that if you do need to take a break in the meantime, obviously feel free to come and go as you need to. After the break, really importantly, there's going to be an opportunity to hear about how you can get involved in the centre and what they're doing next and how you could work with us here. A chance to hear some stories about co-production in practice. I think there's something people often find they're not so confident about. Maybe they get the theory, they're bought into the idea of it, but what does it look like when you do it? So there's going to be an opportunity to hear some stories and ask some questions. We'll wrap up and then we're going to go into Gaga Radio After Party, hosted by the lovely We Co-Produce and the fantastic DJ lady LXA. So any music requests for that, drop them into the chat here. And I think we're slowly co-producing Lady LXA's playlist. Okay, lots to share, lots of ways to get involved as well. So we've got the chat box. Feel free to use that for chat as well as for any technical issues or cries for help. Rory from the team is going to be responding where she can, but we may not be able to answer all your questions, but someone else might jump in and answer it for you if we can't. And we'll be taking the chat afterwards so we can respond to things afterwards as well. But just be mindful if there's something really urgent, we may not be able to get on it as quickly as you might like. Please be respectful, considerate of other people in the chat, which I'm sure you will. Twitter, if you want to tweet about this, the hashtags are about to be shared in the chat, I think. So it's at UCL_CoPro, hashtag CoPro Live, and hashtag CoPro Launch 20. And the other thing we've got is an online guest book, which the link will also be shared in the chat. And I think we'll keep sharing that during the session, just because it will get quickly moved up the page as people talk there. So we can't be together in person, but we can share messages, reflections, ideas about what we're bringing to the session and what we're taking away. I can just see the link's been shared there for you. And this is just to say as well, I think we all concentrate and listen in different ways. So if you feel like for you, I know I tend to doodle when I'm listening. So if you want to go in there and scribble some things, do pictures, type away, whatever helps you to kind of engage with the session, that's absolutely fine. In a moment, I'm just going to quickly hand to Anna, who is live illustrating the session, which is another way of what we're capturing today. But just a little note for everyone and for the speakers, we are really, we've got a lot packed in, so I'm going to be trying to keep us on time as best I can. One of the ways I will be doing that is with a couple of different trumpets. So coming towards, if you're speaking and you approach the end of your time, you may hear this, or I've got a slightly more elaborate one that I might bring out if I'm feeling more enthusiastic. So I'm going to pass over to Anna now, who's going to talk to you about live illustration quickly. Anna.
Oh, Anna's on mute. We might need to get Anna off mute. Leah's on the case. I'm sure she's on the case.
There we go. That's it. I'm here. Perfect. Hi there. So it's really great to be here. I'm really excited to be able to capture this launch event. I'm going to be working away on this wall here. I'm going to be capturing the key messages, and there will be a visual minute of the event that's available at the end of it. I think there'll be an opportunity if you want to ask questions, or if you would like to have a closer look, then you can do that during the break, and I'll catch up with you again at the end. So hopefully that's prevented a trumpet being hooted at me. Back to you.
Thanks, Anna. Yeah, no trumpet for you. Excellent performance. Someone has just messaged me to say my mic is crackling a little bit when I talk too loud. So that's a good reminder to me. I don't actually need to shout, however excited I am. Okay, so we're going to get started now. Just be quiet, Chris. I'm going to hand over to Laura, who's going to talk a little bit about the history of the centre, where it's come from, and what these last 3 years have led up to. Laura, over to you.
Thank you. And I'm probably just as excited as Nick and Chris and everyone else is. Thank you all so much for coming. So Nicola has asked me to speak because I was involved when the centre wasn't the centre, it was really just a twinkle in our eye. So to give you a sense of where we've come from and what we've done so far. So where did all this start? Basically with an idea and with some money, always a good combination. So what was the idea? The idea really was that we wanted to challenge and change cultures around how research, especially research that relates to health and social care, is produced and who gets a chance to be involved. That was the idea. And the money was £550,000 over a 5-year period. I think we're just coming to the end of year 4 now, from the Wellcome Trust. This money was given to University College London, where I work, UCL, as part of a much larger grant to invest in areas of strategic importance to the university and to its research. And one of those areas is how universities take action to build relationships with communities outside, with people like many of you on the call, how to support researchers to have the skills and confidence to do that, and how to give communities themselves a clear sense of how they can get involved in a meaningful way that's going to sustain and have a legacy. So that was the idea and that was the money. But there was also a level of honesty with ourselves. We'd tried different approaches before, we'd had access to money before, we tried some training programs, we tried internal funding schemes, but we really wanted to be honest. And looking around at what we'd done, while individuals had benefited, we weren't sure we were really making the kind of level of change we wanted to. So we knew that if we were going to successfully challenge and change culture, we had to start with ourselves. And we thought the best way to do that was to start talking to not just the usual suspects in raising our ambition levels and helping us decide what to do instead, not the same old, same old. So we began to ask 2 key questions. What needs changing? And secondly, how can we all help that change take place? And we just started asking that question and inviting a really wide group of people to explore those questions with us since October 2017. And we've worked with a really wide range of people. And I think seeing just the diversity of people on this call gives you a sense of how successful that approach has been. So we've worked with members of the public, we've worked with researchers, patients, carers, healthcare practitioners, charities, local authorities and students, both from our own university and others. Really anyone who was interested and wanted to get involved. And that is still one of the values we live by. And over the 3 years, the reason you're all invited to this launch party is we now know what we want to do, who we are, and what our vision and our mission is. And you'll be hearing more about that later from other people on the call. And we're also absolutely delighted at the diversity of the community that's been part of our journey, that's here today. And if you haven't already got involved with us, please do. We would love to welcome you. Along the way, we used a good chunk of that money to set in motion some actual co-production with research projects. They were small scale, but we knew they were going to be important to our learning. And we've really tried to draw on that learning. So we've funded 9 projects and you're going to hear from some of them later. So don't disappear after the break if you possibly can. It's one of the best bits you're going to get today. We've also been co-producing a set of training materials about how to do co-production. We didn't know before we did this, and lots of you may not know either, so we want to share that, and resources, and all of that will be coming your way early in 2021. We're really grateful to the Wellcome Trust for their support, but it's important to say that we're also really excited that from October next year, we're going to be standing on our own feet and we'll be moving to an entirely new financial and operating model. So the future is bright. I'm going to stop there because there's so much more to come, but Wellcome Trust couldn't be with us today, but they have shared some words to tell you how pleased they are with the progress that we've made. So I'm just going to finish quickly with what they wanted to share with us. We've been impressed by University College London's commitment to ensuring that health research is grounded in the priorities and experiences of patients, families, carers, and the public. Using the funding from Wellcome, they've been able to drive culture change and provide practical interventions that make co-produced research a reality. The centre's already achieved notable success, and we look forward to seeing how their approach evolves. It's been particularly positive to see so many different groups interested in joining the centre community, resulting in a growing appetite for consultation on grant and fellowship applications, for example. They've also taken a proactive approach to sharing their learning with the wider sector. We hope that this will prove a viable model for other research funders and institutions to adopt in the long term, to ensure the longevity and create the evidence base for people-centered research. Thanks. Enjoy the rest of the launch.
Laura, you were supposed to hand over to Graham.
Yes, I am. Thank you. I've just remembered I'm still in host mode. Okay, so you heard from me because I was there right from the start. I'm now going to introduce you to my colleague Graham. And Graham's talking to you today because he is chair of our advisory group for the centre, our allies group, whose role it has been to really help us think how we're going to develop it as strongly and inclusively as possible and advocate so that as many people as possible know what we're doing and why. So Graham, over to you.
Thank you very much, Laura, and thank you for the kind introduction. Yes, I'm Graham Hart. I'm a Dean of Faculty of Population Health Sciences at UCL, and I was very pleased indeed when Laura and Nick asked me to become involved to chair the Allies group. Having said that, I had no idea what that would actually involve, and it's been something of a journey for me personally as well as for the group, and so and I very much enjoyed that and learned a huge amount. So yes, I'm in a Faculty of Population Health Sciences, which means that, of course, we look at physical and mental health outcomes. We're involved in research that promotes well-being and reduces health inequalities at a population level. And I think that as a faculty, we probably pride ourselves on working with populations and communities to ensure that the research we do leads to much better health. But I think that there's an extent to which, and I don't think I'm being unfair here, we probably use participants in research as the subjects of research, rather than proactive, engaged citizens who are participants, fully participants in the research process. And I thought I was pretty good at this stuff because I've been doing HIV research for 35 years. Back in the 1980s, I started working with injecting drug users, with gay men, with female sex workers, with a whole range of populations who were at risk of HIV. And of course, if you were working with those populations and seeking to undertake research to help them in terms of risk behavior for HIV and avoiding HIV and living with it, you really had to engage with them. But what we didn't do was anything remotely like what the Centre for Co-Production is doing. And this is the radical change, I think, that's opened my ideas, whereby essentially the research question is constructed by and involves the participants in the research. They are actively engaged and so important to actually the first construction of the research question, and then of course how it turns out as a research project, as a co-created piece of knowledge creation, and so that's a big change and a more radical approach, I think, which can be quite, as a researcher, quite challenging to have people actually in your face telling you what they really want to see when it's a matter of their own lives and livelihoods and experience that's being studied, investigated, researched. And so it's not always a comfortable relationship. And I think that's a great thing to make us jump out of our comfort zones as paid academic researchers to really understand where people are coming from and their expectations of what research is going to deliver to them. So it's that excitement, a little bit of fear, but also a real appreciation, not least because when people are giving of their own time, and this isn't their day job, this is what they have to do all the time. It's because, you know, we've come to you to ask for your engagement and participation. That's I think the big change that I'm seeing. So we've really progressed, as Laura said. We're moving into our next stage with the launch of the centre this afternoon. I'm being told to shut up, so I'm going to rapidly say you're going to hear a great deal more about the centre and from colleagues who are allied group members, Christina and Mandy, and rather than Chris get out a much larger trumpet, I'm going to stop there and say thank you very much for the invite. I'm sorry I can't be with you for the rest of the afternoon. It's just an incredibly challenging time for me in population health in relation to COVID, and that's where I'm going now to deal with some issues around COVID. So apologies for that, but thank you, Nick and Laura, for asking me, and good luck with the rest of the afternoon. I'm sure it'll be really exciting, and I'll be watching it later as a recording. Thank you very much.
Graham, thank you so much. And I didn't want to stop you talking because it was great to hear what you were saying. Thank you ever so much. However, I did quite enjoy doing the horn. I'm going to hand us over now to Christina, if you're ready, who has some big news. Big news for me. I haven't heard it yet. Come on, Christina. What do you have to tell us?
We might need to unmute Christina. Leah's just checking. And we got some slides as well, I believe.
Here we go.
Have we got Christina, or am I going to have to do it for her? Christina, are you there? This is making the suspense even bigger. Oh, wow. Have we?
Hello? Hello?
Oh, we've got you. Oh, my gosh.
You muted me. Can you guys not see me? The camera should be on.
Yeah, you're all good. Yes.
Okay, so can you see me?
Yes, we can see you.
There's a little clue here. And I want you guys to all know I've got a timer because I've been given a script, so I talk too much. But I don't listen to scripts, sorry guys, but I will listen to my timer. So, hi everyone, I'm Christina. So I am the lived experience ambassador for NHS England. I will read your script as you've written it. So basically I met Nicola because I was working at UCLH, University College London Hospitals, very local to where you guys are at UCL, across the road, as a patient director for musculoskeletal services a couple of years ago now. And I was really interested in co-production. So somehow, as I pop up everywhere, as some of you might know, I became an ally member. So me and Mandy are the allied members. So we try and get involved as much as possible. So I'm also here with two hats on today. So I'm going to be your DJ later on today. So we've been building up to this. We've been loads and loads of work. And what's been really cool is how much variety. I say variety, because that's like a weird way to put it. Because diversity is just used all the time, isn't it? But a real diverse group of people that actually, I've loved it because I've networked and met so many people from all over the country and beyond, actually. So that's been really amazing. So we've been working with Emily, designer from Studio Hicks, on co-producing a new identity. So are we ready? I've got the job for the reveal. So anyway,
Christina, can we just skip off the slide so we can see? Because loads of people can't see you and they want to see you.
Why? Who wants to see me? This is a clue. I did especially for you, Nicola. well, for the Centre of Co-Production as it was. So come on, let's do it. What's the big reveal? Da, da, da. We are now Co-Production Collective, hence the orange. And we have a new tagline as well. Is that the next slide? So co-producing change together. Represents what we believe is an organisation that co-production stands for. It shows 4 people. So is that the next? Is there another slide?
No, we need to go back one. It's on the logo. We've got the 4. Yeah.
Okay, sorry. So on the logo, you'll see that it's a circle. I did say it looks like a piercing, but we'll go with this because it actually represents 4 people sitting around a table. So obviously my head always goes somewhere else. And it's about connecting and the power of people and what we can do together. I love the fact that all the chat stuff's coming up. I can see whoop whoop and all sorts. So it's amazing. So we'd love to know what you think. Feel free to share your thoughts in the chat box. So far, we're getting lots of whoop whoop. So that's amazing. One other thing to mention, we're also working on co-producing the website. So if you'd like to get involved, please do get in touch. I've got about 17 seconds. Oh, nearly there. So next meeting's going to be 17th November. And that's all from me handing over to Scott. See you guys later.
Thank you, Christina. Scott, it's all yours. Do we need to unmute Scott?
I think we need to unmute Scott. Hey, there we go.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. So thank you very much. So I'm Scott, and I'm going to talk us through our purpose and our approach. So since May, we've been running a series of co-creation sessions, which have really been looking at establishing our purpose, how we work, and our priorities for the next 2 years. So we now have a fully co-produced vision, a mission, a set of core values, and a statement of what co-production means to us. So I think you'd all agree that we've been pretty busy during COVID. So our vision. So this is the change that we want to see. And this is a world where diverse knowledge and experience is recognized and valued in the field of co-production research. Sorry, everyone, so I'm blind and just reading from my notes at the same time, in case you're wondering why I was a bit slow there. So the next stage was our mission. And the mission really sets out our purpose and how we hope to really kind of enforce the mission that the vision that we set out for ourselves. So our mission is we're a co-production community where everybody is welcome. Together we learn, connect, and champion co-production to create lasting change. So up until now, everything's been guided by our principles to live by. And these were co-created back when the centre was started. And these have now evolved and have now taken the form of 4 values, which are, and these are fundamental to everything that we do. So these are that we're human, we're inclusive, we're transparent, and we're challenging in a good way. And these principles also underpin our approach to co-production. Because we think that it's easy to get hung up on the definition of co-production, but for us, co-production means working together in equal partnership. So here's how we think of those values in relation to co-production. So being human is valuing diversity of knowledge, experience, and perspective. Building relationships based on trust, honesty, and reciprocity. That's a bit of a mouthful, that one. Being inclusive, removing barriers to participation, and recognizing people's strengths and supporting their development. Being transparent, we look to achieve this through addressing power imbalances and hierarchies, and sharing roles and responsibilities. And being challenging, we look to achieve this through continuous reflection, learning and improvement, embracing new ideas and ways of working. So we really just wanted to thank everybody that's been involved on the journey so far. It's been really inspiring to be part of the journey. And we really hope that people will continue to be involved in the weeks, months, and years going forward. And yeah, please get in touch if you want to be involved. And I'll hand back to Chris.
Lovely, Scott. Thank you so much. Thank you, Christina. And I'm really impressed. I think it looks brilliant. I'd seen nothing of this until today, so I've experienced the big reveal with everyone. And just to echo, there's loads of positive comments in the chat. Looks fantastic, and I bet that feels really good for the team who've been kind of sitting on this for quite a while. You never quite know how other people are going to take things, so yeah, feel free to share your comments in the chat. Don't forget there's the guest book. We'll maybe share the link again for you, so pop in and put any thoughts you have in there. So thank you again to Scott and Christina. Thanks to everyone who's spoken so far. Just a reminder that we're going to have a break at 3. We're going to be going into breakout rooms in a bit where you'll have the option to talk to each other if you'd like to. And also that after the break, there's going to be an opportunity to hear some stories about co-production in practice. What does it look like when it gets messy and we try and actually do this stuff? And also about how you can get involved with the centre, opportunities to work together. So thank you very much, everyone. I'm going to hand over now to Lizzie, who's going to start talking a little bit about people and stories.
I am indeed.
Lizzie,
I'm okay.
please.
I'm not on mute. All good? Good. Great. Hello there. I'm Lizzie, and I am one of the team behind the Co-Production Collective, which I'm going to have to get used to saying. It feels very strange, but very exciting. And the next section of our event today is about stories. So we think stories are incredibly powerful tools for learning, for transformation, and for celebration. So unsurprisingly, they're often at the heart of co-production. With this in mind, we put out a call for stories of co-production on Twitter and via our networks, and you can see some lovely examples from our community on our blog and on our Twitter pages. And we also brought in the experts, so Hayley, Lauren, Sally and Isaac from People's Voice Media as part of our Co-Pro Stories project. They use a community reporting approach, which Hayley will explain more about, to interview 15 people from our community with a whole range of co-pro stories to share. And taken together, we think these stories tell us a lot about co-production, what it is, why you should do it, how it feels, where it can go wrong, but also the value that it can bring. So I'll hand over to Hayley now to share some of those stories, and she'll be joined by Anna, one of the storytellers, and then there'll be a chance for you to reflect on your own experiences in the breakout groups. So over to you, Hayley.
Thank you, Lizzie, and hello everyone. Massively nervous with the numbers of people that are here and feeling a whole sense of responsibility at the launch. Just saying that because I got my Be More Human t-shirt on in the spirit of some of the values represented by co-production and camaraderies as well. So I'll get cracking so we can get listening to some stories and in some breakout rooms pretty soonish as well. So I'm just going to share my screen with you. And There we go. And you may recognize a bit of branding as we go through this now. We may be seeing it live in action. So my job is just to give you a bit of understanding of what community reporting is, which is basically a digital storytelling movement that supports people to share their lived experiences and to gather them using basic devices like mobile phones, or as we've done lately, the good old Zoom technology, or any other platforms that are available. And our community reporting is basically a cycle. So we start with the first part of that, which is gathering stories, or if you know the Cinefin framework, it's the probing, it's the doing something different, it's the asking the questions. So how we did this, as Lizzie said, with the co-pro stories, is we went round talking to folk who'd done co-production and finding out what the agenda or what the perspective on co-production was. So we've gathered 15 fabulous stories, much more than we can share with you today, from all different perspectives, from academic perspectives, from lived experience perspectives, from facilitator perspectives, to bring them together to learn a bit more about what actually is co-production, and what's the challenges and what works about it. The next phase, as you can imagine, is curating that in some way or to make sense of it, because the stories are long, they're in audio, they're in video, they're people talking about experiences in very different ways. And what we did with the storytellers is looked at some of those stories, pulled out the key insights and findings from them, and decided what we were learning from those stories together. So the model's a bit different than academic research, where a researcher might take away the evidence and assess it. What we do is we work with the people who've actually told the stories to tell us what the stories are telling us. And Anna was a fabulous part of this process as a storyteller and also as a curator. So if Anna would like to unmute and maybe share her experience of that process, how she found it.
Hi, can everybody hear me?
We can.
Perfect. Hi, hi, I'm Anna Hood. I'm here at UCL at the Goss Institute of Child Health, and was kindly asked to speak today and to be part of the Stories project. When I was invited to do it, one of the things I was really trying to think about was making sure that I highlighted the partnership that it takes place within co-production. So I'm both a research fellow and a clinical psychologist, and often work with populations, medical populations, or populations who experience health disparities. And I was hoping that by being part of the story, that really what I'm doing is sort of reflecting from that population and the populations I work with, their experiences. The other thing that I did want to highlight was some of the challenges that can occur, but the real sense of accomplishment and the goals, and feeling like you've really worked with the community that you are researching, so the real benefits of it. The entire process was incredibly collaborative, so working with the team, I really felt that what's in the video really reflects what I wanted to say, and that it was really heard and incorporated into the entire sort of fabric of the stories. In the sense of the sort of sense-making workshops, I think I felt like I went into it a little nervous about hearing my own story, but very much came out of it really feeling that I learned so much, hearing these other lived experiences, thinking about how that can inform what I'm doing moving forwards. You know, really, we talked a lot about the, power and making sure individuals were heard. So overall, just a really great experience. And again, thanks for having me speak today.
Thank you, Anna. And that brings us to where we are now, which is mobilising the stories, responding and sharing these learnings wider. And that's what we want to do today. So we've got a few extracts to share with you. And we will be releasing a playlist of all the extracts later. There's all the stories in their raw form will be on the Community Reporter website. And there's some reports and findings coming out soon based on the stories as well. But for now, let's get sharing some of these stories. And whilst you're watching them, these extracts, if you could have a think about what are the key messages in them that you're hearing, and also how do they relate or not to your experiences of co-production? Because we're going to have a little chat in the breakout rooms about some of the things we're listening to in these stories. As you heard from Scott, one of the core values of the co-production collective is about being human. And here's an extract with Michelle talking about why relationships matter in co-production.
Relationships is one of the first things I would say that's really important. Sometimes as a researcher, you're doing interviews, and that might be the one or you might meet someone once or twice, and it's a very privileged position to be in, because actually people can share some quite deep experiences with you, but then you don't have any kind of continued contact with that person necessarily. You might kind of connect with them saying this is the kind of the end result of the research. So a traditional research project, you have less kind of ongoing connection and collaboration with the people who you might be as sort of working in an area of research, whereas with co-production, actually it's all about the collaboration and connection and relationship, and taking and really ensuring that the people whose research is focused on a particular issue, actually they are the people who know what to do best and how to do it. So this was kind of like very much the same with my PhD. It's like actually it's the frontline staff and people who are using services who tend to know how services need to be changed. They've got the most knowledge, they've got the most experiential sort of practical knowledge, experience, they know what it's like. Whereas actually a lot of top-down policy doesn't really understand the issues, and so it's very much about having much more kind of democratic approaches to services, rather than it being kind of like professional kind of service user. Actually people who are the people who use services know generally what they need, and actually often aren't given the opportunity and resources to be able to have that.
And the next value is about being inclusive. And here is the fabulous Sarifa talking about the importance of inclusion in co-production.
At the moment, I feel in the whole inclusion movement for disabled people, it's really gone backwards instead of going forward, around inclusive education for children, around inclusive education for lifelong learning for disabled people, and just accommodating disabled people's needs. I don't think, we fought really hard about, that phrase that we say, nothing about us without us, but everything is being decided for disabled people by able-bodied people, and nobody's listening to us. And that's not how co-production is supposed to be. Do you know what I mean? And worst of all, for me, I think because they know I have a mental health label, it's like, oh, well, she's at it again, so they just stamp me down. To me, that doesn't feel like co-production. We're like working with Nicola, right? It's a different experience altogether. Do you know what I mean? Because Nicola will accommodate my needs around, like if I say that I need 14 fonts, I need you to do the form, I need you to book me the transport, if I have issues, things like that, she will do it for me. And like, even if I say, well, I think that was a bit racist, or I think that was inequality or whatever, she'll take it on board.
So a nice name check of the wonderful Nicola, who practices what she preaches there. And the next value is transparency. This is, and being transparent. This is Annie talking about how co-production isn't about going into a setting and having the agenda already set. A common challenge that I think happens in the co-production arenas.
I think also, you know, we hear a lot from our community that by the time that people get involved, it's almost too late to have a really meaningful impact. You know, certain things have already been decided, and the things that they're asked about are only, you know, not necessarily always, but sometimes they can feel a little bit tokenistic, and it just feels like there's not much wiggle room, and things have already been kind of set, and they're just there to say like, yes, this is a good idea, like go ahead. Whereas I think with co-production, you know, the idea, well, we see one of the key differences is people being involved kind of from the very start and then all the way through a project, rather than just at one stage the kind of research cycle. And I just think that, yeah, that just opens it up to being making sure that projects are really relevant for the things that matter to people kind of right from the start, and not having that situation where people get involved and think, I'm just here to kind of tell the researcher that what they're doing is great, or just validate existing ideas. It's actually that kind of generation of new ideas that could come about from co-production, I think.
And the final value about being challenging, you heard Scott introduce this before, and Scott is back talking about how co-production is about learning and continuing to learn and just getting on with it, and trying things out.
I think to not get too caught up in what co-production is or isn't. I think people really get wound up in, you know, what is co-production, you know, what isn't co-production. And I think it can sometimes detract from the actual job of doing. It's a bit like when when I was at school, I would spend all the time drawing the front cover on my school project before actually writing the actual project itself. And I think what people need to do is they actually just need to start it, but with an open mind to involving everybody and trying to give people an open, kind of equal value, equal agency, and give people opportunity in that project. Try to involve as many stakeholders as you can think of in that project, and give them the kind of things that they're interested in working on, and see where they take it. Give them the kind of bits and pieces that they're interested in working on, and see where it goes. And just don't get caught up in too much. Are we doing real co-production? Just get your hands in and get messy with it, and just work on it, and just iterate over time, and kind of see what works well.
Okay, that brings us back to the main room. We will shortly be going into breakout rooms for maybe 5 minutes, I think, to chat about what we heard in the stories, which is, I've just popped them into the chat. What were the key messages and ideas, and how do the stories relate or not to your own experiences of co-production? But before we zoom off, because I know someone else is doing the tech on this, apologies, Anna, I didn't realise people couldn't see you, because I could see me as speaker in a little corner. I thought that everyone would see when the speaker changed. So I'm very sorry that I continued with the screen share at that moment. So sorry, Anna, for that. And Nicola, I saw your message way too late.
No worry, it's fine. We could how about we put Anna on screen briefly?
Yeah.
You can say hello. Aaliyah, are you on it? I dropped these things on you, I'm sorry, at the last minute. This is provided Anna is still here. I'm hoping she is. Hey, Anna! Back to you, Hayley. Sorry for the interruption.
No worries, no worries. I just didn't realise everyone didn't see what I was seeing. Okay, is the tech wizardry going to send us off into breakout rooms to talk about the stories for 5 minutes or something?
Yeah, all good.
Brill. See you all shortly.
We're going to go to break in just a minute. During the break, there's an opportunity to have a look at what Anna's been up to, drawing, live documenting what's going on, and also to ask some questions. So if you're interested and curious about Anna's process and what she's doing and what she's been picking up, please feel free to stay around during the break and put some questions in the chat. They will be fed back. There is an overwhelming feeling in the chat that the breakout rooms are way too short, so apologies if you feel like you've been buffeted around a bit. We're going to take a screen break now for those who want to. For those who want to stay around, I'm going to pass over to Anna, who's going to be showing you where she's up to with the live illustrating and answering any questions you have. And we're going to come back at 3:10. So dead on 10 past, we'll be starting again. And after the break, it's an opportunity to hear how you can get involved in the centre going forward and what co-production looks like when you get stuck in and it starts to get messy. So thanks everyone. Please feel free to grab a cuppa, take a break from the screen, or have a listen to and a look at what Anna's been up to on the live illustration. So Anna, over.
Thank you very much. I don't know if, yes, with digital events, it's really important that people are able to have a break. So I'm here and I'm available. I'm going to put this here so that you can have a look. You might be able to pin my screen so that you can see what is going on here. I'm going to just carry on working on this, and if you've got any questions, type them into the chat box. Those will be fed back to me by somebody who isn't muted, and I'll be able to respond to that. So this is just space for you to connect with this if it's helpful, or to take a break. So I'm going to carry on working on this until somebody says, Christina, you were asking if your orange hair features on it. Do you know, I have drawn someone in orange, so maybe it won't be orange hair, but maybe it'll be an orange person.
Okay, thanks. I am the person who is not muted, so I get the pleasure of. Is it all right if I chat to you a bit while you're working?
Do, yes, absolutely.
Okay, so I have seen this in action before, but never in a virtual setting. So I am in awe at your calmness and ability to work in this way. How do you find it?
Oh, so it's interesting, isn't it? It's not there. Obviously, I love being in the room with people, and when you're working in the room, you're able to pick up on some of the energy that's there. People come and interact with you, and you can capture some of that. So from that respect, it's, you know, it feels quite lonely being here on my own in my own room. However, there's something really nice about like you say, I can take my time setting up. I don't have the travel to and from the venue. I know exactly what I'm doing, so I can be here and just be relaxed. And I think the other thing that is nice being able to do it in this way, or is good being able to do it in this way, is that we can put the camera on it so that people can see it. Because often if you're in an event where you've got 150, 200 people, not everybody has an opportunity to see it. They possibly don't feel that they can come up and take a look. So having it
able to pull out a few things that have jumped out at you.
I can, yes, absolutely. So I shall tell you what I've got so far, if that's helpful, because I was going to do this at the end. I'm just going to take my camera off its stand, and then I'm going to
love coming at you from the chat as well.
Oh, excellent. That's nice to hear.
That's what you're creating. Helen,
excellent.
Amazing, Anna. Fantastic to have this resource capturing the conversation. So.
Excellent. That's great. Well, here we go. So hopefully this will be a really nice, clean image that you can see, because it's a good camera. So what I start, it's interesting because I start off thinking I'm going to be capturing it in a particular way, and then when things start, it kind of emerges on its own. So the launch of CoPro Live I saw on the welcome screen was a rocket, so I thought, well, that definitely has to be in there.
Yeah.
I very carefully put up this title for the event, the Centre for Co-Production launch event, and then there was the big reveal for the Co-Production Collective. I was like, oh, well, that needs to stand out, doesn't it? So I shall make that big and there big and bold.
But I mean,
I've
this
got
is a point of transition, so it's quite, I think it's quite symbolic that you've had to suddenly shift, because we're all suddenly shifting as well, having called it one thing for so long.
Yeah, absolutely. So then I was thinking, it feels like there'll be a number of areas. There's a bit about who you are, the journey that you've been on. And then I was thinking, well, if we're launching in a rocket, then maybe these should be planets. That maybe this is going to come into some kind of solar system.
Yeah.
I think there's something around the why you're doing, why co-production is so important, and what are the benefits of doing it. And I think that those things will come out, and I shall tie them together. But what I've done so far is capture the bit of, you know, the challenge of change and changing the culture and the money to develop it, the importance of research, but being open and challenging yourselves as one of the values is there about what needs to change and how can you make it happen, really connecting with people. So there were some key messages that came out that I've written in red. So there's something about, you know, that will make this work for people. There's something about being open, hearing lived experience, being in partnership, really co-creating things and not doing it, not in a tokenistic and a half-hearted way, but really co-creating right from the start, involving people in constructing the research question, you know, right from that beginning bit. That I've got that bit over here as well. There's lots to build on here, but this bit about involving me right from the start, and if you do that, you know, actually you may well get some new ideas. So I think that by the time we get to the end of this will be, it'll be I was thinking originally that this was going to be separated into sections, but it's become a much more organic feeling thing, you know, and this is what interests me when I do things live, and that bit about just hearing what people are saying. You know, it feels like there's such interconnectedness to all
it's
of
your
this.
version of the get stuck in and get messy, isn't it? You can't necessarily plot one path and stick to it, so I think that's very apt. Yeah,
that's it. Yeah,
just interrupting with just to let you know, 1 minute, we've got a minute, and then we're going to be back on, everyone, just to let you know.
Excellent.
Anna, thank you so much for that. My thought was the rocket and the interplanetary, that the ambition levels are really high, and we're into the unknown, so it's an exciting journey to be on. But
absolutely, isn't it interesting how all of this kind of just becomes, it just appears in front of you. It's amazing. You can't, you know, this is it's the beauty of being able to work live and really immerse yourself in what's going on for people, and just letting things come to you in the moment, and that's obviously what's there, isn't it?
Okay, I think we'd better hand back to Chris, and we will come back and see what else emerges. Thanks a lot.
Thank you ever so much.
Pleasure. Oops.
Thank you, Anna, for sharing that. Thank you for the conversation, and welcome back, everyone, from your break. So I'm expecting people will be starting to filter back in, having made themselves a cuppa, or taken a little wander, or had a look at what Anna's been up to. And just to echo what people have been saying, really, it's so lovely seeing Anna working live. And I think there's that feeling as well. People have talked about, one of the things Nicola has always demonstrated is that living the values of co-production and being prepared to hold that uncertainty on behalf of everyone else and saying, yeah, it's fine, look, we're going to step into it. We don't know what's going to happen next. And we're just going to all sort of wing it together and trust the process that something good's going to come out in the end. And Anna, just wanted to appreciate that as well, that doing it in front of a live audience of 250 people. The nerves on behalf of us all. Thank you for that. Okay, so we're back on. The next thing we're going to talk about is about how you can get involved in the centre if you would like to work with us, with Nicola, with the team in the future, with the new collective. After that, we're going to be finding out a little bit more about what it looks like when you start co-producing and when things get messy. So with no further ado, Nicola, Christina, can I please hand over to you to talk to us about how people can get involved if they would like to work with the new CoPro Collective?
You certainly can. Thank you, Chris. And on that subject of always learning, yeah, sorry about the breakout palaver, apologies for that. We're learning that in virtual meetings, breakouts need to be a lot longer. So hopefully you got to say hello though. How can you get involved? Well, I guess we really hope as a result of this event that masses of you will really want to explore how we might be able to work together, you know, in equal partnership and of course for equal benefit. We know there's lots of different people with us today, you know, lots of different types of experience and expertise to share and perspectives on what co-production can offer. So we want, I guess now, just to showcase a few different ways that you might want to get involved in what we're doing and potentially how that we can work with you on your projects, plans or ideas. It doesn't matter whether you're coming along as an individual or you have a community around you, you know, whether you have lots of time and energy or only limited amounts to offer, whether you have money available or if you're looking for funding. We really just want to encourage everyone to get involved and to work with us, no matter what your situation is. And obviously, I suppose we need to be quite mindful of the centre and the circumstances. You know, we need to make sure that we can sustain the new co-production collective in the long term, but it's not all about money, definitely not. You know, we want to build our community and the co-production movement nationally and internationally. That's really important to us that we can do that. And so, you know, we want to make sure that anyone who wants to join us on this massive culture change journey can do. You know, please do join us. We need all the help we can get. So I think we should have a diagram up on screen shortly. That is going to show a few ways that we think we can collaborate. Obviously, you know, there are masses more, I'm sure, so please let us know of things that you think are missing and ways you'd like to get involved. I'm just going to run through a few, and Chris, please shut me up if I'm talking too much. But, you know, you could publish with us, so we have a blog and you're more than welcome to write something for that, or perhaps we can look at doing a journal article together, or even, you know, writing for a magazine or something like that. So a couple of examples, Christina and I, for example, wrote a blog fairly recently about, if I could speak, that would help, about Black Lives Matter and the importance of that, particularly within academia and all of the changes that need to happen. You know, it's all very well to say that, but we actually need to bring about those changes that are required. Or also there's Lynn's blog about the emotional roller coaster that she's been on through her diagnostic journey, but also in getting involved in co-production and involvement and engagement work, another roller coaster that she's been on. And as a result of that blog, she's been on a podcast, she's been invited to various events, you know, she's become a mini celebrity as a result of writing that blog. But, you know, a very serious subject and actually a very emotional blog as well. Another way would be to partner with us. So we're keen to work on large scale research, service delivery or program development projects and apply for funding together. You know, the culture change that we can affect with these larger scale projects is obviously bigger, but that doesn't mean that we don't want to work on smaller things too. We do, and we're here and happy to offer advice and work together with you as well. Interesting, we worked on a grant proposal recently with a researcher from UCL, Laura Crane. An exciting project possibly in the running there around autism teachers at autistic schools and the pupils and how actually they can work better together if they use research to support that. Another way is to learn with us. You know, as we said, we're always learning, and we actually are available to commission training, either in an academic setting or actually in a more community or organizational based setting, be that for leadership teams or community level. We're very excited to be working with the UCL Mental Health Sciences PhD, a new one funded by Wellcome, and we're going to be delivering the co-production training for those students. Some of them are on the call actually. Hey there to you guys. I'm looking forward to meeting you properly soon. Another way, I'm actually going to hand over to Christina now. I'm going to stop talking.
Yeah.
I clearly am getting tongue-tied. So Christina, I'll let you describe some more of the ways that we might be able to work together.
Hi, can people see me? Because I can't see. I don't know what's going on with my camera.
Yes, you're all
yes,
good.
So you can hear. Oh, hello. So, so can you see my screen behind me?
Yes, I can see the brand on it.
I can only see you. That's very strange. So, so basically, we want people to come co-produce with us, and that's how I got involved. Got involved with Carol Munt, another patient partner. Basically said to me, "Look, come along. These really nice people. They're really friendly." And at the time, I was like, "Is there free lunch? Is there sandwiches?" And so off I went. And that's when I got to meet. Actually, it's where I got to meet both Nicola, but also Helen Lee, who I think's watching as well, who I actually now work with. So it's been amazing. The connections I've made have been absolutely amazing. And you know, I don't kind of forget where I come from. And really, this is where I come from in terms of co-production and the stuff that we've been doing. So this is one of the projects I was involved in, the branding of the actual co-production collective now. There was a few other ideas that went out the window, but we worked together. And what was really nice was the fact that actually being able to ask other people to come get involved. So actually my sister was involved. You got the pleasure of meeting my sister, didn't you, Nicola? Hi, Sonia. So it's, you know, it's, if you've got, you know, friends and family that want to get involved, it's all about bringing people together, connecting in ways that we wouldn't normally connect to get some stuff done. So I'm really excited about it being called The Collective, because I really feel like it's a bit of a co-production family. I don't know how many minutes I've got. It's got no timer for this one. So the next co-production focus will be about payment policy. So we make sure that everyone that takes part in co-production is either paid either by the day job or with us. But it's time we co-produce our own policy rather than following other people's organisational policies. We'll be doing this co-production via document rather than on a video call. And we're trying to find different ways of doing co-production. So not everybody's comfortable with doing video calls and doing stuff digitally, right? So exactly, virtual co-production doesn't, see, I knew what you were going to write, Nicola. Virtual co-production doesn't mean video calls only. It can be, there's lots of different ways, you know, good old fashioned phones, you know, things can get posted out to you and things like that. So they try and be accessible as possible. If you think it's not accessible, please let us know. So I'll be running a website co-production session on the 17th of November, and there'll be more information on the slides at the end. So if you want to connect with us, you can join our network, which is great. So it means you get sent lots of things and find out what interesting things are coming. The co-creation stuff's been really exciting, and I really enjoy linking up new people. Oh, somebody's got a cough. You're not muted. Feel free to sign up to the newsletter, but also on Twitter. I find that you know, you'll find lots of us are on Twitter, and you know, the NHS as well as co-production collectives and stuff all use it. So I think it's a really good way. I think it's a really good way to get co-production moving, and that's involving people who've lived and learnt experience, and that's what I'm all about. So but yeah, I hand back over to Chris, I believe.
Christina, thank you so much. Thanks both for that. I love it. And Christina, I'm full of admiration for how you were able to be so enthusiastic and so on time as well. Look at that. Impeccable hosting.
Can you tell everyone, because I got told that people said Christina will talk too much. I made a point.
You absolutely.
Wait for me on the radio later.
I'll write you a reference, and we've got 200 witnesses.
Look, my hair is nearly the same colour. I'd really tried.
It's beautiful, seamless. Thank you ever so much, Christina. Thanks, everyone. So, just a little reminder for everyone that there's a few different ways you can interact. If you want, please put your chat into the chat. If there's thoughts, reflections, ideas that are coming up as you're hearing the different segments of this section, please use the guest book as well. I think the link is being sort of reshared because there's a lot of chat, so it will be sort of flying off the top of the screen. In a moment, we're going to hear about a couple of the pilot projects that have been helped by the now known as the CoPro Collective, and to talk about what does it look like, what does it feel like when you start doing this stuff. So in just a moment, I'm going to hand over to Catherine. So I just want to kind of give a little bit of a background to this and just drop the idea with you again that co-production, it's quite easy to think about it as a concept. We often, as Scott was saying earlier, we often get bogged down maybe in being too precious about what it is or it isn't. And often people are left with the question of, what does it look like when you start? How do you start? And what does it feel like when you're co-producing? So Catherine is going to lead this next section and talk to us about what that does feel like and what happens. And the thing we'd really encourage you to do is think about questions that you might like to ask. We're going to get a whistle-stop tour of a couple of really exciting projects from Catherine and some colleagues. But we want to know your questions. So what's coming up for you as it goes along? It can be that it might seem like the stupidest question. It's not. Everyone will be thinking the same thing as you. So drop them in the chat and we're going to gather them together, and there'll be an opportunity for me to grill them a bit once they've spoken. So please be putting your questions in the chat and I can put it to Catherine and the team afterwards. So Catherine, are you ready for me to hand over to you?
Yeah.
It's all yours.
Hi, everyone. It's nice to have you all here at this launch today. I've been involved in the co-production collective for 1.5 years now, and I would like to introduce the pilots. Some of the most significant work we've done so far is to fund 2 phases of co-production pilots to co-produce a health research project or innovation, interesting and testing and learning about co-production itself and the difference it can make. These mixed teams of researchers, clinicians, and those with lived experience work together on topics ranging from improving access to GP surgeries for women with multiple and complex needs, to exploring the lived experience of people diagnosed with uncommon cancers, and adopting CBT to meet the needs of autistic adults. So we had a huge variety of applications. I personally was part of the team who read the research applications and made sure that co-production was at the centre of each research project. I attended the day where we chose the projects that we were going to fund, which was a very interesting process. Each project was being co-produced in different ways, so it was a hard decision to make. I then followed the researchers' progress by attending meetings where they discussed what they were doing. I've learned a lot about co-production and research by attending these meetings. I think we chose the right projects, and seeing them grow has been great by going to the meetings. We've learned so much from these pilots, which has already fed into our wider work, and we'll be showing you more over the coming months. Today we're excited by being joined by representatives of 2 of the pilots. From Hearing Bird Song, that's the name of the project, Anna and Adrian, and from Maternity Voices Matter, Anna and Vita are going to present that. They're going to give a quick overview of their work, then they will be in your hands. Make sure you put your questions about co-production in practice in the chat box, and we'll ask them as many as we can. So over to Hearing Bird Songs to start off.
Hi everyone, I'm just sharing my screen. I'm going to try and do it in presenter view. Can you see my notes?
Yes, we can, Anna.
Right, let me try this instead. Okay. Hello, I am another Anna. I hear there's lots of Annas on this call today, and I'm going to be presenting about Hearing Birdsong, and then Adrian's going to join to answer some questions after the next presentation. I'm the public involvement lead at Imperial College London, specifically linked to a centre called the Helix Centre. So I'm going to try and get through 2 pilot projects because we were very lucky to win 1 pilot in the first round, and then to continue that pilot we won another pilot in the second round of pilots. So who are we? We're a diverse group of audiologists, people with hearing loss, researchers, designers, community members, and not everyone's in this picture, but we actually had a 12-person steering group for our second pilot. But here's a selfie from one of our meetings. Our first pilot was to hold a sandpit innovation workshop, which I'll tell you more about in a minute. And the topic was all about improving health for people with hearing loss. So the picture at the bottom is the steering group who organised the sandpit innovation workshop. And they met regularly to come up with the plan for the workshop, make decisions on it, and to make sure that the workshop was covering all access needs for people with hearing loss, because people might want to lip read, so we needed to have good lighting in the room with good windows, we needed good acoustics, we had carpet on the floor, we had a microphone, a hearing loop, and also a palantypist. So the picture on the right, you can see a screen, and a lady typed up absolutely every single word that was being said throughout the whole 2-day workshop, which was incredible, all live. So what is a SAMP Innovation Workshop? It basically brings together lots of different people, again, researchers, policymakers, people with hearing loss, carers, designers, and then you explore a problem, do lots of post-it note writing, and then try to turn those problems into solutions. So we were looking, there we go. We were looking at hearing loss, and one of the key things that was mentioned was that 9 million people have undiagnosed hearing loss in the UK. That figure is actually now thought to be 11 million, and that's thanks to Adrian's research, who's going to join me later. And that was thought of as quite an astonishing figure. And people who'd done hearing tests said that they really didn't like the experience of a hearing test. And there's evidence to show that it takes 10 years before people who need hearing aids actually start using them. So what happened was different groups formed and pitched ideas to the whole group of about 35 people, gained feedback on their ideas, and then we went away, developed those ideas further, pitched them again, got more feedback. And then on the last day, all the ideas were pitched, and one idea won some funding to take it forward. So Angela, who I think is on this call as well, was one of our community members who has hearing loss. And she was encouraged to get her hearing tested when she realised she couldn't hear birdsong on her daily walk. So Angela worked with a team of people to develop that story into an idea. So the concept that they came up with, so it was a researcher, designer, and 2 people with hearing loss, thought we could invite members of the public to a pavilion space with beautiful birdsong playing, and then raise their awareness about hearing loss and how you can go on to get tested for your hearing. So this team won some money to actually turn Angela's story into a reality. So here is our first installation, which was last year for World Hearing Day. And we developed bird boxes, which were bright yellow for those of you on the telephone. And each bird box had a speaker in which sung real bird song from it. And then we invited people in for free tea and coffee. And then we chatted to them about hearing loss and what to do if people thought they might need to get tested. And you could actually sign up for a free test with an audiologist the next week at hospital. So that was a very quick 1-day installation, and we really wanted to take the idea further. So we applied for more funding from the centre, and and we won money to take it forward and learn from all the feedback we got from that installation to make it better. But this time we wanted to actually try and reach people from seldom heard groups. So we had a focus on working class men and people who are part of Black and Asian minority ethnic groups. So we worked with existing community groups who are out there. So one group called the Hackney Brocals, we held a workshop with a group of older men, because obviously hearing loss is can be associated with age, to talk to them about how we can make hearing birdsong an attractive thing for them to come along to. So their ideas was they thought the installation should be more interactive. So what we did was we made a screen which had the 5 different birds which were playing at different times, what frequency they were playing at. So the wren has a very high bird song, that's the highest frequency that you're more likely to lose with age-related hearing loss, and the wood pigeon, which is the lowest frequency, which again, the lower frequencies you're more likely to lose with age-related hearing loss. So on this screen, the birds would show up when the different birds were playing. So it meant that people walking around could actually almost sort of test themselves to see if they could hear the bird playing at that time, or if they couldn't, it was a sort of a nod to the fact they might be experiencing hearing loss. But of course, we wouldn't want people to just get that information and be a bit worried about it. So we had trained staff on site and audiologists to talk to at the time. And you could actually choose to have your hearing screened in the room next door. So the other thing the Hackney Brocals helped us with was picking the venues to make sure that they were venues that communities like to go to and were busy places. So this is the Dalston Curve Garden, which has very lovely atmosphere, and they have people with learning disabilities who work there, and they invite people in for free tea and coffee. So it's got lots of different people who come there. And then we also held one installation at the Kingsland Shopping Centre in Hackney, where we got a free shopping unit, which was next door to Iceland and Sainsbury's, had loads of footfall, and we invited people in and they got a free tote bag to put their shopping in if they came to our installation. So that really helped to encourage people in.
Anna,
so yeah,
just going to quickly interrupt with a quick part to say,
okay,
just want to make sure we've got time for Maternity Voices Matter and for a couple of questions as well.
Of course.
I could listen all day, but we've got a little bit.
It's the penultimate slide. So the impact, so what's the sort of so what? So we screened people using the Hear Check, which you can, if you're on video, you can see on this picture, but you basically hold something over someone's ear, press some buttons, and they hold up their finger when they can hear a sound. So we screened 40% of the 250 people who came to our installations, and then we asked them to fill out a feedback card, and 73% said they were encouraged to have their hearing tested or would encourage others to do so. And we reached lots of different demographics, but I won't give you all the details now, but 30% were from ethnic minority backgrounds. And finally, what are we going to do next? We hope to take Hearing Birdsong forward in different ways, maybe in a toolbox that you could send to GP surgeries to have a bird box in their centre, or yeah, lots of other different ideas. But just to say thanks to everyone involved and to the Centre for funding us, and really looking forward to your questions all about sharing decision making and sharing power, like all the practical things that we did to actually make it a truly co-produced project. And I'll hand over to Anna and Vita for their project.
Thank you, Anna. Anna and Vita, over to you.
Hi, hello.
Trying to share my screen.
So I'm Vita Moltedo, and in a moment, my friend and colleague Anna Pittman will start sharing our slideshow. For those of you who can't see the photos, they're just a little illustration of what we've done, but hopefully I'll be able to make it come to life with the words as well. For those who can't see the screen. So my name is Vita Moltedo, and I'm one of the co-founders of the group Maternity Voices Matter. I'm also a service user and a peer researcher. Our group, for those who don't know it, is independent and it's not for profit. And our aim is to create a link in the communication between service users and healthcare providers, and improve maternity care and outcomes for women in the stages of pregnancy, birth, and postnatally. So we're all peer researchers, which means that we are past or current service users of maternity care, and we're all trained in a research method known as participatory appraisal. Those of you who can see the screen can see one of the tools that we use. In practical terms, our method means that we interview service users, in our case, mothers, fathers, and family members, in small groups of 6 to 10 people or 6 to 12 people. And we use creative tools such as maps, diagrams with Post-its, so that every participant feels safe and supported to tell their individual story. Through our methodology, the anonymity of the speaker is ensured, but at the same time, key themes are easy to identify. Our research is neither statistical, nor is it concerned exclusively with case studies. Our starting point are individual stories, and we try to make them heard as much as such, but these are also different aspects of key themes in the relationship between service users and maternity services. And in this last picture, it's a group of Bulgarian women that we interviewed with the help of Natalia, who's a family mentor. This wouldn't have been possible without co-production, but Anna will tell you a little bit more in detail at how our project evolved.
Hi, I'm Anna, and as Vita said, I'm going to tell you a little bit about the pilot that we ran, that the UCL Centre for Co-Production funded amazingly. So our pilot focused on speaking to women and their families from Black, Asian and ethnic minority backgrounds, and also to their family support workers about their experiences of maternity care. One of our main co-producing partners was an organisation called Manor Gardens Welfare Trust, and they helped us to arrange sessions with some of their service users who came from a variety of countries, including Bulgaria, Bangladesh, Morocco, Somalia, Uganda, Egypt and Syria. These women and their families had never been asked for feedback about their experiences, and they seemed to really enjoy the experience and the opportunity to say how things had been for them. And working with a co-production partner that was familiar with these women, it was really beneficial. It meant that these people trusted us and felt safe, I think, talking to us about their experiences. One second, just trying there. And then another key element to the pilot was speaking to medical professionals about how best it was for them to hear these women's stories. We wanted them to have impact and lead to change and improve services. And we were really fortunate to work with senior midwives at UCLH for this. We then, we then collated the research and looked at themes and common experiences and spent time analysing the results, which culminated in a powerful event at Islington Town Hall in February this year. We collaborated with London Playback Theatre to bring the stories that the women had told us to life, and then some of the peer researchers also told those gathered what they'd heard from the women. And then we were very, there we go. There we go. Sorry, the slides aren't quite behaving. And then our co-producers spoke about the value the work had to their organisations. In their evaluation of the event, many people spoke of the impact. It had a really big impact on them, and that they plan to take action as a consequence of what they heard. And I just wanted to finish with saying that actually, I think co-producing the project had a major kind of effect on us as a group of peer researchers, in that it really empowered us, and Maternity Voices Matter actually kind of sprung up out of this pilot. It didn't exist before this pilot, and working together on this pilot gave us, in a co-producing manner, gave us the confidence to move it forward and actually set up an organisation together. Back to you, Vita.
Thank you, Anna. What are we doing now? Well,
guys, just to interrupt. So we're going to have to go to questions, I'm afraid, now, and because we'll have 5 minutes of questions before we go back to the main room and start tying things up. So I'm really sorry to interrupt. Is that okay?
Sure, that's great.
So I'm going to just, the first question I've got, those projects, first of all, just amazing. And it is so brilliant to hear about. One of the things that I think is so hard with the practical side of co-production is it has to be different every time you do it, because it's got to be relevant to the people and the context. So it's very hard to come up with, people like to know, like, oh, how does it work? What do you do? And just seeing all the really positive comments in the chat there, I think everyone's excited to hear about this. And yeah, Tony, I agree. Could listen all day. I think both the projects. I've got a question I'd like to ask first, and I'm going to go to the Hearing Birdsong project first, if that's okay. I think it's about getting buy-in, really, and it's something that I think is a challenge for those of us who are lucky to do a lot of co-production stuff. We believe in it, we know what it's like when you do it, and we trust the process. But when you're starting a project like this, you kind of have to get people brought in and interested. At the same time, you can't tell them what's going to happen when they do, because if you know that, then you're not co-producing. So I just wondered if that was an issue for you, getting people brought in at different levels, and if it was, how you approached that. So first of all, Hearing Birdsong, and then we'll ask Maternity Voice.
Yeah, sure. So I guess there's two sides to it. So we definitely had some challenges, and one of our professionals is a designer, and he does things in a way where he goes and gathers insights from people and then goes away and designs something. So perhaps he wasn't familiar with that sharing power and people working with him to make decisions. So I'd say the first couple of months, we definitely spent some time, the project manager and I, meeting up with him just in a cafe or in the pub for a chat and to talk a bit more about co-production, show him the values of it and sort of bring him on side. But it was really when he experienced it that he realised the values, and now he does do things in a co-produced way for other projects. So that was sort of taking time to build trust and buy-in from him. And then in terms of community members we worked with, definitely think there was moments we held some meetings where we posed these very abstract questions to the community members, and they said, you know, how can I answer that? You're the experts, I don't know. So that, again, we had to think carefully about how we worded a particular question, and spoke to a few community members as a sort of core group to develop those questions if we were ever going to go out again and ask things to community members. So working with community members to develop all the materials for the meetings, and then just really showing how valuable their input was. So we took lots of notes, we shared the notes, we showed how it changed the project, and then people built in confidence to be able to contribute.
That's super, thanks, Anna. Yeah, and I think when people get involved and they can experience it for themselves, it's very different, isn't it? It's just getting people to that stage. It's sometimes quite hard. Okay, so we've got time for one more question. I'm going to put, rather than put the same question to Maternity Voices, I'm going to ask, we've had a question in the comments. So I'm interested in the mobilisation stage. With the maternity project, you said you asked senior midwives how they would like to hear the stories. What did they say? Did they ask for the artistic representations like plays? Was there a text-based output or workshop for them instead? So that's a really interesting question about how you manage that. How do you format things? Are you interpreting stuff in different ways, and are you colouring what's coming across? So that's for you guys on Maternity Voices Matter.
So yeah, in our session with the midwives, we asked them how they heard feedback in terms of like positive experiences and negative experiences of hearing feedback. They kind of, it felt really important to value them as midwives and not just kind of say, we've decided not to tell them what we'd really heard in the research sessions with the parents, because it felt like we didn't want to kind of overwhelm them with the kind of all the problems that we'd heard, or, you know, all the kind of compliments. It was more about finding out how they heard things best and stuff, and the kind of routes that there were giving feedback. And I suppose the theatre element, that was kind of separate, because that came about, my background is in theatre, so I kind of suggest that as a way of getting some impact in, rather than just having an event that was kind of dull and people kind of reading off their research. We kind of wanted to bring it to life. So that came out of that. Peter, have you got anything to add to that?
No, I mean, yeah, what you said. I mean, the interesting thing was that what we heard was quite similar from the midwives and from the mothers and service users, and that was you know, fascinating and also really useful for all sides. And we just realized how much involving people and making them protagonists then gave that, you know, with projected you forward and really made you see from a different point of view, and you know, and made you just like created links and stepping stones as a bridge towards the result that you were, you know, going towards.
Thank you, Vita. Thank you so much. And thank you to all of you for sharing your experiences so far and being prepared to kind of talk off the cuff as well in front of everyone. I can confirm the fact it's slightly nerve-wracking. So thank you so much for that. So a massive thank you to the pilots in general for the amazing work you've done.
Sorry to interrupt. Would you mind? We've just let Adrian speak because he hasn't had a chance to say anything yet from hearing birdsong.
Sorry, go.
It wasn't so much about the hearing, but in the work I've been involved in neonatal screening and things like that, we used those actors and those play situations quite substantially. It was lovely to see the way that you did it. I'd love to be able to read that. The thing that wickedly entered my mind was when we did it, of course, we had all the women about to give birth and wanted to know what they thought about newborn screening. But what we found was that actually the partners were incredibly interested and had views as well that helped us in compiling the leaflets and the information for families and women as it went forward. And I wondered whether you'd thought about bringing partners into that in one way or another.
Yes, we certainly did, and you're absolutely right. And that, I think that goes back to one of the core values of a co-production, which is inclusivity. We actually had one session that was solely dedicated to dads who were from minority groups and who didn't speak English, and we, you know, we wanted to hear their experience and and hear their story. So yes, you know, they're also protagonists, as they're also the service users in maternity care.
Thank you so much. Thank you for that. And Adrian, thank you for that question. That was brilliant. So I am sorry to cut this short. I feel like we could have dedicated a lot more time to this bit, but I felt like that about every part of today. Thanks again to the pilots, incredible work. There will be a lot more to be shared over the next few months, resources, blogs, publications about what's come from those pilots. And we're really trying to squeeze everything we can out of them in terms of learning and sharing. So don't worry if you feel like you've got a lot more questions, there'll be opportunities to ask those and to hear some answers as well. So we're coming to the end of today. We're coming to the end of this week's CoPro Live Festival, celebrating all things co-production that the collective have been running this week. So I'm going to hand over now for the final stretch to Mark and to Mandy. Are you ready, Mark and Mandy?
Yeah. Hi, so my name's Mandy and I help my son to manage his cystic fibrosis, and I've been involved in the co-production collective for 2.5 years, and I'm involved with them because I'm so impressed by the fact that they actually co-produce co-production. Now, to plan for the launch event, we decided to go for a festival approach and showcase great co-production. So we've had various sessions, and on Monday we had creative co-production with Jill Phillips, the founder of Whose Shoes. And Whose Shoes is an exciting approach that enables you to walk in other people's shoes and see health and care scenarios from other people's perspectives. And we heard about the wonderful impact that this has been having, but we also co-produced a live poem, which was absolutely fantastic. And I've heard so many people say you can't co-produce everything, but I think this poem actually proves that you can co-produce things when you don't realise it. And I'm going to read out a short extract. I'm sure I know what's best for me. You say that it's my choice. I've told you time and time again, you did not hear my voice. We promote best practice, diversity, of course, inclusion. We'd rather accessibility remains an illusion. Accommodating your needs would lack proportionality. Wake up, smell the coffee, accept this daily reality. Of course we want to hear from a different perspective, but we'll choose when. It's our right to be selective. I'm speaking and I think you're listening. You're nodding your head and making encouraging noises. But then you speak and you are answering the question you wish I'd asked, not the question I did. It's like you didn't hear anything I said. Why do doctors do this? Another acronym to aid communication. Another acronym does not serve much purpose, only confuses the nation, blurs interpretation and stifles imagination. Oh, acronyms, where art thou, common sense? You told me it was some kind of shared decision, you mumbling nonsense at me like some blonde-haired politician. Language takes many forms, never think in terms of norms. We will be sharing the whole poem by email and newsletter. And now I'm going to hand over to Mark.
Thanks, Mandy. Hello, everyone. Hello, co-producers and the collective, all here and ready to rumble, let's say. I've got a few thank yous as well, but following on from Mandy after that absolutely fantastic session on Monday, we followed off through the week. We wanted the organising collective wanted to create something where the week would you know, sort of today has just been amazing, you know, sort of the chat and everything's just brilliant. But the week we wanted to create debate and also create something special. Following on from the Who Shoes with Jill and Mandy on Monday, we had a Co-Pro Cuppa session. Now, Co-Pro Cuppa sessions have been around through the UCL Centre for Co-Production, but one of the big things about and what come from that is actually we need to do some more. So hopefully we will be blogging and we will also be sort of organising some new co-production collective co-pro sessions, some cuppas. Unfortunately, you have to bring your own cup of tea and Jaffa cakes, but I'm sure that everyone will do that. I'm quite versed in Jaffa cakes, but that's an in-joke between Nicola and myself. But that needs to come off in the next few months. We need to get those back up and running and give it a new sort of push, especially as we're now collective. And then yesterday we had just an amazing session. It was called Be More Pirate. Now, I did get a pirate suit ordered. However, as per wonderful Amazon, it came this morning. I was going to wear it today, but I thought, well, you know, probably not. It might not be the best thing. But my heart is piracy now. And I want to thank Isaac and also Kat's ship. Captain Cat, hopefully she's about. Hello, ship's Captain Cat. She's on the call there. When I found out that we were having this session, actually obtained the two books, Be More Pirate and also How to Be More Pirate, from Sam Conniff. Yesterday was just amazing, inspiring, the debate that we were hearing, and also to actually, you know, sort of all of us, we learn something new, hopefully every day. Well, yesterday to actually hear about piracy and the situations of how they actually were using co-productive methods was just out of this world. It was just an inspiration to listen to, and I really hope that we can actually follow on from those sessions and get those going again, and work with Kat and also sort of to organise that in the future. Finally, we heard earlier about the co-pro stories, and we'd like to sort of I think we'll go on to Nicola because she's going to be doing the sort of like modelling, so to speak, because we've actually created in association with Jane at We Co-Produce a t-shirt, and as a thank you, people who took part in the co-pro stories will be getting a t-shirt. I don't know if we're doing that, and Nicola is actually showing that, so if people can see it. Oh, here we go.
We've got a picture, Mark, but I can put it on screen, but I think it's better in the picture.
Oh yeah, I think so. Yeah, I mean, I didn't want you to do the sort of like catwalk model style that we had earlier. I think that we'll go with the picture. But as you can see, the the t-shirts are just brilliant. We had a bit of a conversation regarding sort of other people, because I know that for a fact that once a t-shirt comes and is produced, people want to sort of chomp at the bit and get a t-shirt. So we're going to look into sort of seeing how we can get t-shirts available for people, because we're now the new co-production collective with sort of We Co-Produce has done these. We're going to look at providing a way of getting hold of our t-shirts in the next few months, especially when our website is up and running. So keep your eyes peeled. But finally, from me, I'm going to hand over to Chris. But before that, as part of the organising group, I just want to thank every single person of that organising group. Today has been just absolutely amazing, and everyone that's come here. We've had, you know, sort of via Eventbrite, you get those sort of lists of how many people, and you look and you go, oh, amazing, amazing. We're going to get, you know, sort of drop off here, drop off there, whatever. It has been just brilliant seeing people come in, sitting there. Lots of people that I know, lots of people that I don't know, and in the chat, I know that Kat has actually put there to actually say about going through and sharing our Twitter handles. The collective is a space which is everywhere now, you know, sort of on Twitter it just went mad. So luckily enough, let's share our Twitter handles, let's share the new look, and let's get co-productive between now and 2021, and let's do it for the next year or so.
Mark,
thank you.
Mandy, Mark, thank you so much. Right, we've got a couple more things we want to do just to tie up. The first is to remind you, going to gargarradio.org from 4 till 7 p.m. That's the after party. We've got a lot of thank yous for lots of people. We haven't had time to mention everyone, all the different organisations who have partnered with the collective so far. We're going to pop across to Anna in just a moment. When we come back, we're going to invite you all to unmute yourselves so that we can all clap at the same time. We're not sure if it'll work, but we're going to try it. So just quickly now over to Anna to see how you're getting on with the live illustration for a minute. Anna, over to you.
Oh dear. Tech fail in the late.
Unmute.
That's fine.
I'm here. I'm
Here we
here.
are.
I'm here. Sorry, that was a complete schoolboy error in trying to turn the camera around. So, so here we go. I was talking this through over the break. I'm just going to tell you basically the theme that I've got that's going to run through this little title together is you launching yourself out into outer space to explore the planets of co-production. You'll see here that there are some key words that sum up what co-production feels like it's about, and particularly co-production with the co-production collective. So if you are, these are things that maybe you can think about. If you are open and engaging and hearing lived experience, if you're really truly co-creating by involving people right from the beginning and working in partnership to hear the voices of different parties, if you're working collaboratively by making shared decisions, if you're focusing on the relationships and understanding that people who use the services know what it's like and what needs to change within them, if you are able to be transparent and inclusive and human and challenging in the way in which you're working, and that you're working together, then you're probably being a bit more pirate. And I'm going to just leave you with this bit here that says you need to experience it and then you'll get it. So you really need to know what it's like. You can't just talk about it, you have to do it and experience it. There you go, back to you then.
Thank you so much, that's brilliant. Thank you, Anna. Thanks everyone. So just another quick reminder, this is just the start of a new chapter for the CoPro Collective. So there's lots more to come. Please stay connected and join us for this next bit. And we're going to now invite everyone to, as we close the session, unmute yourselves and clap or make the sounds that feel most appropriate to you. Okay, and just to share, the guest book will be available for everyone. The chat will be made available for everyone. Okay, thanks everyone.
Thank you.
Hooray!
Wow.
Congratulations, guys.
Well done. Thank you, everybody.
Well done.
Good Chris with his trumpet, yes.
Party started.
What's the link for the party?
It's in the chat. So
I know, but it's gone.
Oh,
Miles
okay.
away.
GagaRadio.org.
Oh,
Press
thank
play,
you.
Nicola.
Are you on it, Lizzie? Can you put it on live?
I'm on it. I can't put it on live, but I've got some music on.
Okay, cool. Everybody go to Gaga Radio for the after party. We'll see you all there.
Thank you all. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Thank you.
Bye.
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 Bye bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Don't forget to join us at the after party. I might be asleep on the floor though, just to say, for anybody who's still here. Oh.
Yes, perhaps coming up, should we have a snoozy after party? A snoozy, snoring after party.
Right, shall we all go? We can stop.
Yeah.
Yep. Bye.